Let me read to you a passage from the 5th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 20 to 26. It's the Gospel for Friday of the first week of Lent. St. Matthew writes, Jesus said, I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with his brother will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to his brother, Raca, is answerable to the Sanhedrin, but anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to your brother. Then come back and offer your gift. Settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court. Do it while you are still with him on the way, or he may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. I tell you the truth, you will not get out till you have paid the last penny. That's from Matthew chapter 5, verses 20 to 26. It speaks to us of our relations with our brothers. Our gospel passage today comes earlier. It comes early in the Sermon on the Mount, which is, we might say, a compilation of our Lord's teaching given early in his public ministry. The Sermon on the Mount begins with the wonderful Beatitudes, chapter 5, verses 1 to 12. It continues then with the exhortation to be salt and light, from verses 13 to 16, and commands fidelity to the law and the prophets, which he, Christ, has come to fulfill, from verses 17 to 19. To this point, chapter 5, verses 1 to 19, Christ's teaching in the Sermon on the Mount is both introductory and summary. It provides a broad overview and instructs in the spirit of Christ's law. Now, though, our Lord gets down to the detail. And the first thing we notice, that is, in our Gospel passage today, is our Lord's introductory warning against regarding the justice of the scribes and Pharisees as the standard to be emulated. Their righteousness is not sufficient in itself to enter the kingdom of heaven. It would appear that our Lord has in mind their neglect of a religion of the heart. They fulfilled external observances, those commands and prescriptions which could be seen by men, but their hearts were far from what God required. They did not fulfill the spirit of the divine commands. And so our Lord introduces his first directive, and he begins it by referring to one of the 10 commandments, that against murder. You have heard that it was said to the men of old, you shall not murder. But, our Lord continues, merely to do this is not sufficient. Any man who says to his brother, you fool, must answer for it in hellfire. Just as you must not strike unjustly against the life of another, so you must not strike at him unjustly with words that wound him. As we all know, of course, in a civilized society governed by law, verbal injury can in large measure be beyond the reach of the rule of law. But while our Lord warns us against inflicting unjust injury by our very words, his teaching also reminds us of the habit of courtesy. I have known those who have done great good for others, but their work has been marred by their lack of courtesy. How great is the good that can be done by mere courtesy. Courtesy towards others is a most worthy goal to seek, and if attained, it will be the cause of so much good. But then there is, in the passage we heard, the terrible matter of unresolved grudges, resentments, and general alienation of heart from our neighbour. We see enduring and intractable examples of this in families. Spouses cannot reconcile, and when one looks at it carefully, the concrete issues causing the alienation are at times, even often, not major. So they part. Brothers and sisters separate and are scarcely on speaking terms. In-laws at times cannot bear one another. The daughter-in-law constantly aggrieved at the attitude of her husband's mother. Usually there is both justice and fault on both sides, and if it all continues in the same direction, there will never be a meeting of minds and hearts. What alternative is there other than what Jesus Christ directs? They must take the step and be reconciled. The human race is marked by a great trail of fire and smoke. It is the fire of conflict, tribe against tribe, society against society, country against country. How could this possibly be in mankind's best interests? Its only result is tears and rubble, the loss of life and property, and hearts consumed permanently with hatred and resentment. The only wholesome step to take is that of forgiveness and reconciliation. It is interesting to notice the growing body of research, sociological and psychological research being done on the beneficial effects on health of forgiveness. It is being found scientifically that people are healthier in mind and body if they are able to forgive and be reconciled. You know, Archbishop Fulton Sheen used to say that scientific surveys give us decimal points. That is to say, the researchers tell us what we know, but they can put a mathematical or statistical figure to it. It is obvious that we are far better off in mind and body if we can be reconciled with our brother, and as they say, let bygones be bygones. This, though, is not just a matter of good policy, which ordinary human reflection and reason can understand. It is a matter of obeying the divine will. Christ has made it absolutely clear that he requires of us that if we wish to worship God, we must first endeavour to be reconciled with our brother. Let us make a big thing of this in life. The danger is that we can go right through life never being reconciled with those who have something against us, or with those against whom we ourselves have something. We can fail to forgive. In fact, it can be regarded as one of the biggest spiritual challenges of life, and it may take the whole of life to do it. So we must begin now, not losing time, knowing that the only day we are sure of is the present day. So then, let us say, now I begin. Let us resolve now to speak with courtesy to others and to live in reconciliation with them.